and I'm really psyched to have this next gentleman on. His name is Matt Loyd, and he's a colleague of mine at Keller Williams, and he has so graciously agreed to come on to the platform here and teach us some great things about some technology and some tools and platforms and trickery that he uses with respect to Google, especially, that he has taught some other agents in the past and has helped him grow to the level that he's at. So I had to bring him on here today so he could share his knowledge and kind of hopefully give you the keys to the kingdom and allow you to grow your business as well and maybe be as successful as he's become established to be. How's it going, Matt?
Good, Chris. Thank you for having me.
All right. Yeah, the pleasure is all mine, definitely. So, okay, I know you're a really busy guy and you got clients that you're working with and stuff, so let's just get right into it. Just tell us briefly about yourself, Matt, and how did you get to the level of success that you're at today with Keller Williams?
Well, there's a lot of pieces to that puzzle, and putting them all together and kind of going through the journey as, starting day one of real estate to where I am now, 4 years into it. It's been an interesting journey, to say the least, and I've done a lot of stumbling forward and failing and figuring things out and that kind of stuff. But really what I did to get myself prepared for it was, I pretty much cannonballed into it and accepted the fact that failure is just not an option for me. So from there, when you just kind of go into it with that kind of mindset of that, I can't fail, because if I fail, then it's going to affect my home, my finances, my lifestyle, everything like that. That kind of just gives me enough of a motivation to keep doing what I do every day to keep kicking butt and making things happen out there. So, so that's just kind of how I started, going into it the first day, because I remember sitting at my desk and looking at the phone and going, well, it's not going to ring on its own, so what can I do to make this happen right off the bat? And from there, a lot of education, a lot of training, a lot of, being open-minded and trying different things, getting outside your comfort zone, figuring out what you want to do. And then once you do that, then it really kind of starts coming together and the puzzle really starts going together a little bit easier. And that's been the cool part for me to witness is the puzzle of, day one to 4 years into it and seeing how things have evolved and what I do, what I like and what I don't like. And, if I don't like doing it, then, I don't necessarily have to. But if push comes to shove, doing the things that I do like doing isn't making money, all right, I got to do what I have to do that I don't like doing to continue to build the success, because that is why I do this, is to make things happen and essentially be in charge of my lifestyle, my world,
Yeah, definitely. And I just couldn't help but notice that you have what appears to achieved a pretty significant level of success. I can see the medals and the plaques and the recognition by KW up on the wall in the background. So you're doing something right. Yeah.
But I'm having fun doing it, and that's the important part. Because if you're not having fun doing it, it's not worth doing.
With that being said, and that's a great extra golden nugget that you just provided. That the mindset and the mentality and the thought process that you have is vital. So that's awesome right there. That's probably a whole other call all by itself on a future day. But can you provide some insight as to some of the technology that you were teaching people regarding the Google-related tools that you've used in the past that have helped you significantly in your business? I know there was some stories and that you told that you thought that some of those things that Google offers, the free services they're just the best things since sliced bread for you.
Yeah, I've really tapped into the Google platform to make the business easier for myself, between utilizing Google Drive to save all my files and have that cloud storage, so I don't need my laptop or my iPad or my computer or anything like that. I've got it on my phone, and so if I need to email a file right from from the road, I can do that. And that's really been a huge addition to the business for me. Another thing that I utilize is Google Voice, keeping my personal number personal for my friends and family, that kind of stuff, and keeping a business number business. So when I am away from the business, I can have that transferred over to my team, and they can manage that and really run it like a business and keep those kind of worlds separate. utilizing the simple things like Google Calendar just to keep me, up to date and scheduled, and my entire team can see it. I always joke my wife can see it, so she always knows what I'm up to. So so she can keep tabs on me and that kind of stuff. But more so, just keeping the lines of communication open. And then also I put that on my website too, so people can see when I'm busy and when I'm free. So I just appear to be easier for them to book my time. So it's just keeping things simple for me. Some of the other Google platforms that I'm using, Google Sheets, really loving that. Where it's Google's got basically it's Excel set up where you can collaborate on it in real time, and between me and my admin and my buyer's agent, so we can be updating our sheets at the same time and not having crossover of different versions and different files and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I can go on for hours about Google and stuff. What are the things, because I know that we've talked and you've been in my classes before, what are the things specifically would you think would be beneficial on this call that I could share?
I was just curious. I was wondering if you ever do things kind of like what we're doing now. Like, do you ever do Hangouts for marketing purposes, or branding, or lead generation, or SEO related efforts?
I would say that's almost too far ahead of the curve right now for the average person. I think Skyping right now is where most people, I've had clients where I've never physically met them, whether it's a for sale by owner that's been trying to sell their house from a different state, which surprisingly enough, there are multiple people that try and do that. So I think Skype is a little bit more of the natural. People tend to think of that when they think of video chatting stuff. I definitely do utilize the Hangouts when it comes to our tech meetings with our tech committee on the ALC and hosting that kind of stuff like that, because it's, as we're doing right now, it's the wave of the future, and I really think that it's a great benefit of being able to not have to drive and commute and all that kind of stuff like that, to have these kind of live chats and stuff, and simplify your time and that kind of stuff. So I'm starting to utilize more of the Google Hangouts as I think the trend continues and people kind of accept it and understand what it is. But not everyone's as techie as you and I are.
Yeah, I'm not techie by any stretch of the imagination.
Hey, you got this going,
Yeah.
So.
Because there's always some mystery. Google is kind of like they're like the pink unicorn. They never give you the recipe or the secret sauce with how to get in on page 1 of Google. So it's always kind of some mystery. I say, well, the Google Hangout and Google Plus and all the other Google pieces of the puzzle, they're all related for the most part. So you ask yourself, okay, well, if I use these Google Hangouts, you figure you're getting in the good graces of Google, and say, okay, well, hey, this is the Matt Loyd team, and here we are. We're going to give you some tips about doing X, Y, and Z. And if you bang out enough of those systematically, after a while, you'd start to get. It's like you're tap dancing in Google's backyard, where where they'd say, hey, okay, well, you see, like, there is some connection there, but I don't think that most people have really could put their finger on it as to how it correlates with improved search engine rankings and using Google Plus and using Hangouts and
I think the best analogy, and not to be sexist or anything, but I think Google's kind of like a woman. Once you figure them out, they change. So before, Google was big on meta tags and keywords and that kind of stuff, and people figured out that secret sauce, and that's a lot of hard work to get on the first page of Google. So you really got to look at your return on your investment of what your ultimate plan is to do. I know one realtor specifically that he would have 7 or 8 articles on the first page of Google, and that was his part of his listing presentation. I'm going to blog about your house to get your house more traffic and noted that way, which I thought was great because that's his value proposition. Myself personally, I think because Google has changed since then to content driven, so having good relevant content that's appropriate, utilizing like YouTube and stuff, because obviously Google owns YouTube. That's the second largest search engine. That kind of stuff helps out. I myself, I don't blog, but I do a lot of video stuff, video stuff with my YouTube channel for my listings. So I think that kind of helps. But it's really ultimately your game plan and what your ultimate end goal is. So, like for my YouTube channel, I don't use it to capture leads or anything like that. I really utilize my YouTube channel to market my listings and essentially give myself street credibility, so people can come and meet me on my YouTube channel, see exactly what I'm about, see my video testimonials of what other people are saying about me, and from there make the decision, hey, this guy is different than the rest of the people that we've met with. Let's talk with him. So that's really kind of my goal for how I utilize YouTube and Google.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just kind of maybe digress over to just the fundamentals for a second. I probably should have asked you this first and foremost, and then maybe kind of got into the technology later on. But what is your primary lead generation strategy? I mean, do you call FSBOs? Do you call expired listings? Are you a door knocking guy or sphere of influence? Or now you scratch the surface on it briefly about, well, you're talking about the phone's not going to ring, and so prospecting for the most part is the backbone and the lifeblood of your lead generation. And what's your one thing, your Gary Keller one thing?
Yeah, I mean, looking at my lead generation, I much like a lot of realtors, I'm loaded with a bunch of ADD, so you see a shiny thing and you go running after it. I like to mix it up some. I know I've done the grind on FSBOs and expireds and really focused on that, and that's a hard mental battle. And I found that while I'm good at it, it's not necessarily what I want to do, 5 days a week, and you also run out of people to contact, and you can only go so big in the state of Connecticut. There's only so many people doing that kind of stuff. So I've started to really mix it up a little bit. And another great realtor gave me a tip of laying it out where, Mondays are you're contacting people from the open houses from Sunday. Tuesdays are your FSBO days. Wednesdays are your expired days. Thursdays are your sphere of influence days. Fridays might be a networking day as far as contacting business owners. So kind of breaking it up into that, flow of things of saying, okay, look, I know today's Wednesday, so I'm going to do this, and this is who I'm going to talk to, and I'm not going to be dealing with the angry, expired people that I was dealing with yesterday. I'm going to be dealing with the happy business people that I'm looking to forge business relationships. So it's a different kind of thought process going into it, and keeping me sharp as well, as far as saying, okay, now I've got to brush up on my scripts for talking to that FSBO versus when I'm talking to my sphere of influence. Two totally different worlds, two totally different tones of a conversation. So it keeps things interesting for me to break it up like that and lay it out that way and say, okay, yeah, this is my plan of attack for the week, and go about it that way. So a lot of people do things differently. It's just what I found that works for me, and obviously lead generation is so crucial to being proactive in the business, to making more business happen, and that's obviously been part of the success. And when you find that right person that you've met with, that you've done well by, then they start branching it out from there and start singing your praises, and you get those core advocates, which is great. And then the lead gen becomes even easier because you're usually not up against anyone, and it's a matter of, hey, so and so said that you're awesome, and I need to sell my house, so can you do that? Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. No, that's good. It's tough to get the ball rolling, because it's such an uphill journey in the beginning. But that's a good tip. I've never heard of anyone kind of mention that, where how they kind of they like to spice it up a little bit and say, okay, I'm going to call sphere of influence on Mondays, or whatever the case may be. Your little system that you have there. It's like kind of do whatever turns you on, because you gotta stay motivated, and it can be you can be susceptible to that grind and the burnout, because of all the objections they're hitting you, and it's hard work, and I know that I'm preaching to the choir right now that being a realtor, it's not dollar bills just don't fall out of the sky. You gotta be hungry, and you gotta get them. So that was cool. All right, so I guess what are some other big pitfalls to avoid and some big mistakes that you've seen in the past, especially with newer agents, when they're trying to do lead generation? I always thought, ironically, that it would be, and especially now with Gary Keller, coming out, and he preaches, like I said, the one thing and focus, and I don't know what's the other thing, chasing drunken monkeys or whatever, I don't know, but because sometimes, like you said, the shiny objects, and you can say, okay, well, I'm gonna work with investors that flip houses, or I'm gonna call expires, or I'm gonna call FSBOs, or whatever. Because sometimes you have a tendency to get all over the map because you're chasing the dice. So what are some of the biggest pitfalls that you've kind of seen in the past? I always thought that would be one of them, like not having focus, but apparently
Yeah.
you can leverage it in your favor if you do it appropriately, I guess.
Yeah. To kind of go off topic a little bit about the having all these different irons in the fire essentially, and then from there not being focused, but I think it's if you look at it a little differently, you definitely see that you're focused. It's hard to have all those irons in the fire and be really focused, like like Gary's talking about doing your one thing. I would look at it this way of with all those irons in the fire, they're different lead gen irons. So you are focusing on lead gen, and then from there it branches out. So not running around like a somebody with your head cut off, going after FISBOs and then going after investors and going after expireds. Yeah, all different things, but they're all the same as far as lead gen. From there, once you start doing that kind of stuff, it really paints the picture of what you enjoy doing. So I enjoy my investors because it takes the emotion out of real estate. It gives them what it says to me is that these people are driven by sheer numbers, which I love that because it appeals to my D personality of let's just get it done. This plus this equals that. At the end of the day, this is what we need to do. So for example, with my investors, when they look at a house, they're not worried about some of the nuances that maybe a buyer would be worried about with I don't like the size of that closet or something like that. It's literally, I buy it at this price, I put this much into it, we sell for this price, there's my profit margin. Can we make that happen? And what I really enjoy about my investors is that once you do that great job, now you've got an unlimited pool of how many houses that they want to flip. So now you've got a repeat client that has true motivation because literally time is money. You've got a great cream puff product because they're making their a home that's in disarray very appealable to the general public out there. It generates a lot of great buyer leads, and then from there the business kind of explodes, which is great. So that's something that I found within myself of putting out all those different irons of I really do like my investors. So kind of going back to the focus thing, my focus was all on lead gen there because I've got all these different irons, but now I'm focusing on, okay, how do I do a better job with my investors? How do I bring my A game so they know that I am the guy? And then from there, who do they know that is also looking to invest in real estate that I can get connected with, kind of going segue with the networking thing, and then, make those kind of connections. So I've totally forgotten what your original question was, so if you could tell me that again, I'd be happy to try and answer.
Oh, no, yeah, no worries. You know what, that's funny. I'm not going to lie to you because I was kind of spacing out myself. I found myself just kind of dazing off, and I was glaring into your calendar, which I believe is a palm tree on some desert or a beach or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's.
I'm like, oh, that looks really relaxing. I'd like to, yeah. Is that like part of your vision board or something like that?
No, that's my admin's calendar. So that's her personal one. I have mine hanging up over here, which you can't see, which is I met it was great at family reunion last year. It was a bunch of Hawaii agents, and so they're all pictures of Hawaii, and I've never been to Hawaii. So I threw it up there, and I'm like, okay, now I'm keeping top of mind, the Hawaii KW office, and you know what, I'd like to go visit Hawaii at some point. So, one of the things that I'm working towards, and then right next to that is my my 2015 business plan, as far as a couple pictures of what I'm looking to do, as far as what's keeping me focused, what's keeping me on target and stuff, and then the business plan from that.
Yeah, no worries. Awesome. I love the that's a cool thing too, like the vision board, and sometimes people might think it's kind of like it's fluffy or cheesy or whatever, but hey, you know what? If you put a picture of a Ferrari up on your wall, and if that motivates you to call people, then you do what you're gonna do.
And I'm happy to take the webcam off and turn around and show it to you guys if you want. I mean, you want me to do that?
You know what? Maybe on the next call.
Okay.
I know that you got to go in about 8 minutes. So I kind of wanted to just bring it back down to and circle back. The original question I had, Matt, was I was just wondering what's the biggest mistake that you see agents make, especially newer ones, or if there's a pitfall out there that new agents, because for the most part, my target audience of what we're doing here, it's going to be newer realtors. Some of the material will be it's going to be geared towards more seasoned and more experienced agents, but for the most part, I really try to cater to newer agents and just like to let them know what are the mines that are in the minefields that they should avoid?
Yeah, I mean, we as realtors get sold to the most every single day. I mean, I get countless phone calls from this, website company to be ranked first on Google, to this lead capture website that, does this, that. It's easy to fall into those traps and getting those signed up with those fixed expenses of this much a month, and that kind of stuff. And it's hard to weed through the bad ones to get to the good ones, because there are good ones out there, and I do work with some of the good ones because I've seen, I see the value to it, and I can, as long as I can fit it into my budget. So making sure that you don't buy a bunch of stuff right off the bat. I did that right off the bat, and because I said, okay, well, gee, I can advertise on Zillow for $100 a month for this zip code. Well, that's a no-brainer. If I'm making an average of $3,000 on commission, $100 a month is nothing. Yeah, that works out. Well, what I've learned is when you look at your business and you see your fixed expenses between just office fees, MLS dues, marketing, all advertising, all the fixed expenses that you have, then you look to see, can I add in that $100 a month to not have to lead generate as hard as I should be. That's a pitfall that I got trapped in right off the bat, where I was paying for a lot of things that weren't necessarily delivering. They would send leads, but they weren't high quality leads, and that's where I started looking at it, saying, okay, I can do this better, and I can do this more effectively, of door knocking, of calling expireds, of hosting open houses, that kind of stuff. And so I really grabbed the education aspect of how can I make these things better that are free to me, of my natural talents, of being able to knock on somebody's door and say, hey, look, I see that there's a for sale by owner sign in your front yard. How are things going? Well, here's the thing, or an expired. Here's the thing. There's not a lot of realtors that are going to take it to that level of going out and knocking on doors. And that right off the bat puts you different. So could I pay, $100, $200, $300 or $1,000 a month for some sort of fancy thing? Yeah, I can. However, if it's not in the budget and it's not a good return on my investment, then I'm not going to. So definitely don't bite into the, how can I do things the easiest way right off the bat and pay for a bunch of stuff. That's really the biggest pitfall that I learned myself of, trying to get business, because you think of it as, oh, well, I made so much money, so much, a commission check. Yeah, break it down into, out of that commission check, your taxes, your marketing, your budget, all that stuff, and see what's really left over. And then from there, you can make the decision of, yeah, I have room in my budget to do that, or nope, right now it's not a good time to do that. So, like that Outbound engine website that we've been talking about, that's a huge value for me. They do all that marketing for me, and it's a very reasonable cost. Yeah, I have the room in the budget for that, and see the value there. So yeah, I'm going to sign up for that and get that implemented for 2015. Versus when Zillow calls me and says, "Hey, we got a zip code open," pound sand, I'm all set.
That's awesome. Oh my God, I did the Zillow thing too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get a couple of leads here or there, but you said they're it's a lot of people just tire kicking. It's tough.
Which is not a bad thing to be dealing with tire kickers. However, it's not the mortgage is due at the end of the month. I've got to buy groceries. Tire kickers are fine for 3, 4, 5 years down the road, as long as you're effectively keeping in touch with them. And that's a whole other ball of wax right there. But, so no, there's no such thing as a bad lead. It's just more so of, we need to be hunters and farmers. And hunters need to eat now, and farmers will cultivate and eat later. You got to have a good fine balance of that, because the bills are due today, and they might buy next year. So you can't put all that weight into something that was going to buy next year and say, well, I'm not going to do anything today for what I need right now. That's the wrong thing to go about. As a brand new agent back then, for me, that was one of the things I quickly learned of. I need to hunt and farm and effectively manage both of them to a high level.
That's great. I love that analogy.
Mm-hmm.
That's good stuff. I've never heard it described that way, but I couldn't have said it better myself. You hit the nail. You hit the nail right on the head.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so you scratched the surface there on Outbound engine.
Mm-hmm.
I know you got about 3 minutes according to my watch here, and then I know you're on to the next endeavor. I saw that presentation as well the same day that you spoke about the Google tools that you use.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe really quick, if you just want to throw it out there, just how people watching this can connect with you, how they can learn more about it, where do they have to go if they want to see the show one more time, or if they want to know more, what should someone do? Or if they want to know more about you or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Google me. It's funny, with Googling your own name, you find out how many other Matt Lloyds there are in this world, and I guess there's some sort of scam marketer guy that is also named Matt Loyd. I've literally gotten text messages from people that find my number and say, look, you scammed me, you owe me money, and I'm like, totally different from Matt Lloyd.
Oh my God, that's too funny.
It's a riot because and I'm like really, this is how small of a world it is. But I'm like, and I've literally told them, like, look, Google the number that you're texting me here. You'll see that I'm a realtor. I'm not a scam artist. I'm not trying to, I don't even know what this guy does. But yeah, I mean, Google me, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, the normal chains of checking in on somebody, and just go from there. But MattLloydRealtor.com is my website, and that's a great place to start. And we'll get you connected from there. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, and then so if someone wants to know more, or maybe they would like to sign up for Outbound Engine, they can say, all right, so they'll just hit you up, and then they'll just get a private showing in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I'm happy to make that connection with my guy Scott at Outbound Engine, or you could just go to outboundengine.com and get a private demo with them. And if you want to mention that you heard it from me, that'd be awesome. I'm a big networking and referral kind of guy. Of hey, it's not who you know, or it's not what you know, it's who you know in this world. And I'm happy to make those kind of connections and help people get better at their businesses and learn from my mistakes, and because I've learned from a lot of other people's mistakes. So kind of giving back in that way of being a source of information to help people. It feels good here, and whether it pays off my business or not, that's not my goal. My goal is to to do what I do, enjoy doing it, and have some fun doing it. If I can give back, then that's great. I'm happy to give back as well.
What a guy!
What a guy!
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm on the same wavelength as you, Matt. I mean, that's just coming from contribution and just being a good humanitarian. That's the name of the game. That's awesome, and I think you did it in the past 30 minutes nicely. I mean, there's a few valuable golden nuggets in there. When you're just starting out, any advice or mentorship you can get along the way that kind of makes your life easier.
Definitely.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, really, the biggest kind of nuggets that I would take away from this is education is crucial. There's a bazillion people that have tried to do it and failed miserably, and there are very few people that have done it well. Learn from those people. Get connected with a mentor. Get connected with the people in your offices, whatever company that you work for, and find those people and be proactive and say, okay, I see that you're doing this at a really high level. How do I get to that? And follow them. Watch what they do. Ask them how they do it and learn from that kind of stuff. And that's really what started me was, first day in real estate, I don't know this from that. I don't know what to say to somebody. So I looked around, found the people, and found the education online and stuff like this too, of getting connected with the right people and figuring out how to do this so it's effective, and I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel myself because it's already been invented. No sense of redoing it yourself. Just learn from the people that do it really well, and then implement it into your world. And from there, after you figure it out really well, then you can start carving out your own niches. But you got to pay your dues. You got to get through the bad stuff first to get to the other side of the trough, and really get to a place where this is something that is profitable and also being done well. So that's just kind of what I've learned in my short journey, and we'll see how far it takes me into the future here.
Kaboom! Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, man. I mean, that's awesome. I owe you for this one. I really appreciate you taking time out of your lead gen time for the most part to kind of chat with us here today. But I think it will prove helpful. So there it is, folks. There's some words of wisdom for you, some golden nuggets. Try out some of those Google tools that Matt's using, and feel free to get a hold of me and let me know your feedback and how some of these things are working out for you. If you have more questions about it, I'd love to kind of expand and also I'd like to know what you would like to know more about, so we can continue to bring you more helpful information here. So that's it for this module. Enjoy the rest of your day. Go out and do your lead generation. Find people that you can help buy or sell a house, and let me know how it works out for you. Thanks a lot, Matt. And
I really appreciate the time and like what you're doing here. You're getting connected with the right people and getting good stuff here. So for all the people watching, do what Chris is doing. Get connected here. Find the right people and learn from them.
Yeah, and that's a testament to Keller Williams too, and that's an unpaid plug, if you will. And you can clearly see the camaraderie where it's just you can kind of reach out to a fellow KW colleague and say, hey, I'm looking to do this thing. Can I have a half an hour of your time? Yeah, sure, no problem. A guy like yourself, just a stand-up guy, really. It's just a giver by nature. It's
Well, thank you.
It's good stuff. It's the culture. It's just we all kind of can help each other with whatever we need.
It's the simple thing of living a good life and doing right by the world, and it's just how I do. I treat people the way I want to be treated, and live the way I want to live, and have fun doing it. And that's really that's me in a nutshell.
Bam. So let's end on that note, because Matt has to go and find some clients. Or he's probably got a pipeline overflowing that he has to attend to. So I don't want to hold him up too much more. We're already a couple minutes over, but good stuff. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much, and take care.